Hello, everyone. Welcome to Style Esports Season 6 playoffs. My name is Shinkari, and I'm joined today by the DJ, and we are here to bring you an amazing match. Bracket 6 semifinals. UW-Madison shredded up against Duo Q Gaming. DJ, how you doing today?
Doing great, Shinkari. It's been a beautiful day here in Chicago all afternoon. We got some fool's spring going on, 70-degree weather, and now it's finally cold again because the sun has gone down. So I am ready for some League of Legends to warm me back up.
Yeah, and we're going to have an exciting match for you today. UW-Madison is coming right off the heels of an upset win against UE, the underdogs, who were the first seed in this bracket. They won 2-0, and they are the 8th seed of this tournament. So it's going to be very exciting to watch them go up against Duo Q Gaming, who are the 5th seed. They won over Jungle Diff Gaming, the 4th seed, 2-1. So a little bit of a closer match, but we'll see how these games go. Right off the bat, we already have some bans across the board. Oriana Misfortune and Tristana banned away by UW-Madison. Anivia, Sion, and Olaf banned away by Duo Q Gaming.
Yeah, but it is the Hecarim hover that I am most interested in. Hecarim, of course, has been massive in priority in recent weeks, both in the pro scene, in high elo, everywhere around the world, and it will be locked in. So Nightmare Horsey, once again, going to get one of those B1 picks for the likes of Natan 210 here for UW-Madison. It is a very strong pick. It does need tempo. It does need gold in the early game. It does need to scale to be relevant because you need to be in close to the enemy team. So it will be a requirement for UW-Madison to get this pick ahead, and it will be going up against that other premier jungle pick that was not banned. It's the Udyr.
Yeah, Udyr, we've been seeing a whole lot pop up as of Season 11, and it's all thanks to that turbo chem tank. It's so hard to get away from this man wearing a bear on his head, and it's going to be very hard to get away from. He's so fast. That flash bear stun is very reliable. His clears in the jungle are very, very good, and the combination of Phoenix stance as well as phase rush are very, very powerful once you get a little bit later into the game. But we're going to see Xayah locked in for the AD carry position and Caitlyn locked in. Xayah, a little bit of an interesting pick here. What do you think of that pick, DJ?
Yeah, the Xayah pick I think is a strong pick right now. It's a stronger pick when you do counter pick your AD carry matchup. You allow yourself to have a lot of flexibility, but I think it's strong enough. I've seen a lot of good players, challenger level players who prioritize this pick. They want the extra safety, of that ultimate of the Feather Storm. I personally am not a huge fan of it against Hecarim because I think the Hecarim can sort of use the ultimate and his smooth speed to get behind you so that your ultimate becomes sort of irrelevant. But nevertheless, it is always going to be good against engage, and there is a lot of engage on the UW-Madison side. That being said, the Caitlyn pick into the Xayah should be pretty good in the laning phase. You are just going to be able to auto her down. She's going to have to hit you with feathers to actually have any sort of push potential. So I do like the counter pick coming in from UW-Madison, but later in the game, I do think the Xayah, particularly against engage comps, is going to be better in team fights.
Yeah, for sure. And the Thresh is also picked up as another counter to the Alistar here. And it's a little interesting that usually we like to see Xayah and Rakan together, not just because I am the unofficial self-appointed flavor judge of Style Esports, but because it's just a very strong pick that the two of them are picked together. Lots of bonuses that they are given, but Thresh, once again, another meta champion that rose to prominence in early Season 11 thanks to his ability to counter the Leona and Alistar picks, which one of them is here now. So both junglers and bot lanes have been locked in, which means a bunch of mid lane and top lane bans are coming across Camille, Malzahar, and Jax. Now we have one last ban coming up for UW-Madison.
Yeah, one ban remaining for UW-Madison here to round out picks and bans. As you mentioned, we do see the bottom lanes and the junglers basically selected against each other. I do like the Thresh into the Alistar. Alistar is a champion that needs to go in. Once he does go in, it's very hard for him to get out most of the time, so Thresh is a champion that can punish that. As you mentioned, though, typically you want to see the Rakan with the Xayah. It makes the lane just a little that much stronger, makes it a lot better against Caitlyn in particular, but Thresh should be a useful champion nonetheless throughout the game. with that pick potential, with that extra safety from the Lantern. So no problems there with this one picked up for the likes of Jarhead. But we will have to see what DuoQ are going to prioritize here for their B4 or R4. It is the Victor, so they will go with mid lane. They will leave their top lane counter pick for last. And I do like the Victor. It's tough to counterpick Victor at the moment. He is strong enough, has enough range and wave clear to basically play into anything, and does add very nicely to the damage profile of the DuoQ composition.
Yeah, and he also brings with him a lot of utility as well. That gravity well is a very, very strong ability. It's also a displacement as well if the game goes on long enough. But Annie being locked in, certainly an interesting champion, something we haven't seen as of yet in style esports, or not a whole lot in solo queue. Definitely not a very popular pick, but certainly very volatile if they're able to get ahead.
Yeah, it can certainly be very volatile. I mean, an Annie combo can just blow up anyone. Okay, Mordekaiser. Let's see if this is locked in. It is. Okay, we don't see a lot of Mordekaiser at the moment, mostly because it's not that Mordekaiser is a bad champion per se. I mean, we all saw how strong that was at the end of last season. It's more because itemization just isn't very good for Mordekaiser. None of those items are really what he wants, which is a big reason why he isn't picked in high elo at the moment. I do like the double AP to pair with the AD on the Hecarim, but I think you sort of implied it with your discussion about the Annie pick in that, if this doesn't get ahead and this doesn't have, just one shot potential on the Victor, on the Gnar that's now been picked into this Mordekaiser, it's just not going to do a whole lot. Xayah can easily get out of any sort of combo from the Annie, can either use the R button preemptively or after an initial stun to try to get away from most of the damage. So I'm not a huge fan of this Annie. I think this is a really easy, just build Banshee's Veil early option for Victor, and he'll still be able to wave clear just fine, get up to 3 items, and just be way more useful than Annie later on. It will be interesting to see how the Mordekaiser does lane into the Gnar. That should be Gnar favored. When you do have that mini Gnar form, it's going to be really hard to lock him down, and of course just have the Mega Gnar as well. So I really like the draft from DuoQ. I think the team fighting is great, the pick potential is great, extended magic damage and 80 damage coming out from them, and I think the UW-Madison composition just requires a lot more specific things to happen. You need Annie to blow someone up. You need Mordekaiser to get the right member into the death realm, or it's just going to be a bit of a nightmare scenario, even for the Mordekaiser in his own realm.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like, there's a lot of things that UW-Madison needs to do in order to get this comp online, but there's also things that DuoQ Gaming can do to very easily counter this thing. Counter what they've brought here. I mean, their Quicksilver Sash is not an item we talk about very often, but it is a very important item against champions like Mordekaiser, because it does take you out of the Shadow Realm. It does allow you to leave almost immediately and deny Mordekaiser that kind of big 1v1 that he's looking for as well. So it's one thing to do. It's another thing that allows them to deny. Like you talked about, Victor can build an early Banshee's Veil. I don't even need to know if he needs to do that. He can just sit on an Emerald Circlet for all he needs. This, like, buy that Emerald Circlet early and then immediately just use it to just kind of scale in lane, deny Annie's early power, and then be able to scale up from there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Verdant Barrier after the adjustments is just basically as powerful, as its alternative there for armor building up to the Zhonya's Hourglass in the Seeker's Arm Guards. So I think that could easily be built here. And I think, as I mentioned, because of those things, I like the DuoQ composition a lot more. Like, it's much more difficult to itemize against the Xayah Victor as damage threats than it is against the enemy composition. You see the Annie Mordekaiser, you say, okay, great, I'm just going to build a QSS, or I'm going to build the Verdant Barrier, and I'm probably going to be fine. The later this game goes, the less Mordekaiser even wants to ulti someone. Like, who does he really ult on this composition past 25 minutes? I would imagine the Xayah probably beats him, the Victor probably beats him, unless he is fed. So it's going to be an interesting existence, I would say, for Salted here in the top lane. If you don't get ahead of Vufu very early, I imagine picking an ult target is going to be really, really difficult. And if the itemization comes in against the Annie, your damage is just going to come entirely from your Hecarim engage and your Caitlyn. And while Hecarim is a super strong champion and can certainly disrupt the backline, it's asking a lot of very specific things for your engage to go right, to not just be turned around on when all of the abilities from the enemy composition come in. So I do very heavily favor this duo queue draft in game number 1. But if UW-Madison is comfortable on these champions, can get a big wombo combo engage going, I can see them winning team fights. I just think the execution is harder.
Yeah, and I think that this is very much a team comp that wants to win before, duo queue gaming gets off the ground. Annie, not a very strong champion that goes late. Caitlyn, the same deal. They want to win around like 25 minutes, I'll say, because Caitlyn does start to fall off. Annie falls off as well. Hecarim's damage is going to fall off, and Mordekaiser is, I think, might just be outscaled by the amount of resistances that it's just so and itemization that we talked about, by the enemy team here.
Yeah, I think that definitely is the case. Caitlyn is more of a single target, a damage threat most of the time. She can threaten multiple members by just being at large range, but at the end of the day, later in the game, I would always give the edge to a team fighter like a Jinx or a Caitlyn, when there is organized team play, just a lot of AoE damage that comes out as opposed to single target. So I agree with you that I think this will need to be a composition that stacks objectives, that preps objectives very well, because again, if you land an Alistar engage into a big Annie stun or something, you can absolutely win team fights here. And I imagine that's what Madison is hoping to do. I imagine that's what they're comfortable with here. But again, that's the sort of engage that needs all the pieces to line up. The puzzle needs to come together. And if you miss a piece in the puzzle, well, it's not going to be complete and you're probably going to get beat.
Yeah, that is for sure. But we are going to take just a quick break. But don't go anywhere when we come back. We are going to be on Summoners with UW-Madison Shredded versus Duo Q Gaming Game 1. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Style Esports Season 6 playoffs. We are in the semifinals of Bracket 6. On the blue side is UW-Madison shredded up against Duo Q Gaming on the red. We have the line of scrimmages has been drawn. My name is Shinkari, joined once again by the DJ. We are in the first few seconds of this match right into Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, we are Shinkari, and we had some conversations about this in the build up to the during the delay. We looked it up actually. The global win rate on Annie into Victor right now is 38%. So
Yeah.
Fury Flames is a bit of a task in front of him to make this matchup work. And I'm not going to disparage early on. We are early in the game. We are this is potentially a comfort pick, and we could see Fury Flames, of course, just absolutely slam on this champion if he is comfortable on it. But that being said, it is a taller mountain to climb than if you did pick something that was actually good into Victor.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they did. I believe it was a blind pick. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go and double check the picks once again. But I think we did really talk about a little bit like why Victor would be favored in this case, right? He is a lot longer range, so it's going to be harder for Annie to punish him as much as he could. He does have that damage shield, which means a lot of the trades that Annie can do are negated. And then on top of that, he just itemizes into Verdant Barrier, and then Annie's damage is pretty much nullified for laning phase.
Yeah, no, unfortunately for Fury here, I got bad news. That Annie was picked B4 and the Victor was R4. So unfortunately, that was a counter pick here for Fury Flame. So he is really going to have to show that he knows how to play this matchup for that pick to be worth it. Because again, Annie can have a big impact here as Vufu going very low top side on that Gnar. Good trade from Salted, but not going to be able to get the kill. But as we were mentioning, that Annie, does have that very early damage profile, full burst champion is going to need to really land big combos with her ulti, with her stun to make things happen in the mid to late game, because otherwise the Victor is just going to have more impact in team fights. And it does look like Duo Q is set up in a very good team fighting comp. You've got the tanky, semi-tanky, but overall tanky Udyr there to set up your engage. You've got the follow-up AD and AP damage. You've got the Gnar for the CC over the top if you get the Nega bar going. So it's a very nice team fighting composition for Duo Q. And on the other side, there are team fighting aspects, but there are just some awkward pieces rolling around. The Mordekaiser ulti, the Annie stun, Caitlyn being more of a single target damage champion, so just not as clean execution in team fights or objective setups, I would say, for UW-Madison.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we really got to look in terms of what lanes we need to be looking at. I think we need to be looking at bot and top specifically. I think Caitlyn really needs to get ahead real early in order to close out the game fairly soon, and we need Mordekaiser in order to be dominant in this lane and make sure that Gnar does not get ahead early, because Gnar, once they get a stride breaker, is going to be really hard to stop 1v1.
Yeah, and despite the bad trade that Vufu took at level 2, you can see already up about 10 CS on this Gnar. It can be such a difficult matchup up against the semi-range, but meanwhile, we got action in bot lane.
Yeah, that's going to be Damian Bao being taken down almost immediately. So much CC was thrown at him, but it wasn't enough to keep him alive here. Natan at 210 now down here as well, just to stem the bleeding a little bit, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do a whole lot. A lot of summoner spells were used as well. The exhaust, the flash, the heal. So that might mean that Udyr might have another showing down in the spot lane very soon.
Yeah, I think so. And that was a really clean gank and play overall coming in from the side of Duo Q. The flash into the flay, they connect all the CC, they get the ignite down, and Damian Bao just can't stay alive long enough. That will be a little devastating for Caitlyn, who, like you said, really needs to have pressure. If you're not taking first hurt, if you're not 10 CS ahead on Caitlyn in most lanes, you're kind of not doing it right. You have all that range advantage. You've got a good engage, disengage support in the Alistar. Like, you should be dominating this lane. And obviously, the jungler did intervene in that situation, but that's part of the game. You got to communicate that. You got to know when you can push your lane, when you got to play safer, and not starting off great here for that lane as they already find themselves first or down to the first blood there, going over to the Udyr.
Yeah, for sure. And this is also just going to try to play into just this vision game in this early stages here. Udyr can gank early. All he really needs to do is show up and slap you with the bear stance in order to really get a successful gank off half the time, especially with a follow-up from Thresh and even from Xayah as well in certain situations. So you have to be very, very careful. And we've seen Damian Bao just throw out Piltover Peacemakers in order to push the lane down in this bot lane a couple times. So they really do need to be careful about how they're pushing the lane, especially with no vision.
Yeah, meanwhile, top lane though, Vufu's level 6 already. Ulti not quite gonna stun up Salted. That will allow him to just get out there. But yeah, this Gnar already at level 6. You can still has a 10 CS lead, and that semi-range form clearly coming in handy for Vufu. And yeah, that's not a good sign for Salted. As we mentioned, Gnar is just gonna get more and more useful as the game goes on with that AoE ultimate on his mega form. So this is a bit of a problem in the early game for the side of UW-Madison. They're already trailing by about 600 gold, and that in and of itself is not too much, but when you are playing on the comp that looks on paper to be harder to execute, you don't want to be finding yourself in early game deficits.
Yeah, for sure. And especially if you're on the team comp that wants to end this game fairly quickly. If this game goes on for longer than 25 minutes, that Victor, that Xayah is going to be very, very hard to stop. They do so much damage and scale so well into the late game. And, might not be something like a Jinx or a Vayne, that does scale insanely well, but it is certainly better scaling than Caitlyn and Annie for sure.
Yeah, and you want to talk about scaling and a bit of a problem here. The first rate going to go over to the side of Duo Q. They use that bot lane priority. Still no summoners on Damian Bao. They run up to the dragon. They take that one for free. And that is not what you want to see if you are the side of UW-Madison. Your strong bot lane, the resources into Damian Bao on this Caitlyn that were expended, now giving up first Drake. That is not the game plan.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have seen UW Madison shredded. We have been able to see we have seen their record. They have been able to come back and win against stronger teams before. Like we said, they were able to win 2-0 over the first seed of their bracket. So maybe this is going to be another one of those upsets. But we really need to see them all come together for this comp here and for this game. So see how this game continues to edge out as this kind of been going slower. Not a whole lot of attention from junglers since that first gank.
Yeah, still nothing much from the junglers. Of course, Hecarim is a champion that, does like to have level 6 to gank. He doesn't necessarily need it, but it is just a lot easier to get access to enemy lanes when you can, jump unstoppable through the map, then use your E to knock them back. He does now have that level 6, so I would like to see Natan 210 here running into some ganks in the next couple of minutes. He's just clearing out his top side camps. He should get those down pretty quickly here and then have a little bit of time to look for something. But as you mentioned, we do want to see a little more jungle intervention from these two. I think we've already seen a little bit from Exodus, but on that Udyr can always be a major, major threat. However, it is that jungle meta where you just kind of farm until you're needed in most cases here, Shinkari. And it seems like the junglers for both of these teams pretty happy to just stick with that meta.
Yeah, for sure. And we've seen some changes in the jungle recently. Like we've seen nerfs to the golden experience that these jungle camps give, but it doesn't seem like it's deterred junglers too much from just sitting in the jungle and just sitting on gold over and over again and getting these champions as well that have insanely good clears, getting full clears, and then just backing.
Yeah, full clearing is sort of still the name of the game. We'll see if there ever comes a nerf that changes that up. I think a lot of people would love to play some Lee Sin here and there. Junglers love it, but doesn't seem to be anywhere near the game at the moment. When you do see it, more of a troll pick at the moment. And that is, basically shown here in the junglers that we do have select as Exodus and Natan continue to farm. It doesn't look like any ganks coming in, but meanwhile, bottom side, a battle over the crab and an all-in and top lane. We got action all over the map here, Shinkari.
Yeah, Vufu has been taken actually in pretty low, and he's running out of Mega Nard here. He'll have to disengage. Salted Asian actually doing a very, very good job of staying in this team fight, staying as healthy as he can be, especially after Nar's thrown so many abilities. Might actually see a gank in the mid lane here. Here comes Natan. He's going to force the onslaught of Shadows. Going to knock him back into the gravity well. He might be forced to stun up here. Here comes the Chaos Storm, but that's going to be Fury Flames picking up the kill onto Victor in the mid lane here.
Yeah, and you heard it from Shinkari. He wanted some action from Natan, and there is the action that you were looking for. The Hecarim goes mid, plays it very, very well, gets the initial dash, gets out the flash and the gravity well before using the ultimate with that unstoppable on it. Gets the knockback and very well executed gank to take down the enemy mid. Good response coming in from UW-Madison.
Yeah, and the best part is that they haven't used a whole lot of summoners, but that's going to be summoners spent in the bot lane. That's a flash and a hook, but it doesn't land. That's going to be a headbutt pulverize here coming down from Alistar to disengage, and that is insanely good considering Udyr's there. Vufu looking for the engagement on the top side. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to find it. Natan might be looking for something himself, though. All right, he's just going to clear it. He's just going to be clearing ward and backing away. Maybe he engages later.
Yeah, was unfortunately standing on a ward, so, good Spidey senses coming through from Vufu. As you can see, this wave frozen in a bit of an awkward spot for Vufu by Salted Asian. That is something you like to see coming out from the UW-Madison top laner, but good warding will deter the gank for now, though Natan still is on that top side. You can see Exodus here clearing out a ward on the bottom side. This is Drake about to spawn in 20 seconds, and that seems to be the priority for the side of DuoQ. They want to try to stack those Drakes and get to that soul win condition, and they do have the river control as this Drake is spawning.
Yeah, and that's actually pretty big too. With Mountain Drake going down, it does leave up Ocean, or excuse me, it does leave up Cloud, and it leaves up Infernal Drake for the soul of this match, and both are actually pretty good for their team. Getting that spell haste and out of combat movement speed is pretty huge. As Gnar teleports into the bot lane, he's looking for Caitlyn here. He's already dealt a decent chunk of damage. This is going to be Gnar hitting her into the wall. She does not have an escape here, and she's just going to immediately go down. Meanwhile, the team fight is happening around Dragon, and that's so many members of the blue team here have already found one kill for themselves. Jarhead is going to be the next target here, but Poodle's already insanely low. That's going to be a double kill for the Mordekaiser, but another kill for Gnar here as Natan now has to battle the little prehistoric Yordle.
Oh.
Fury Flames now waiting in the side here, looking for a kill. He's going to be able to find it. Oh my gosh, Tibbers is doing so much damage. Fury Flames is actually going to pick up 2 kills for themselves, 4 for 2 in favor of UW-Madison. Shredded going to scare DuoQ Gaming off the Dragon. Such a huge win for them.
Yeah, that is a big win for the side of UW-Madison, and a little bit fortunate after Salted, a bit of an issue with the F key there, trying to get over the wall. Bit on D, but I'm going to guess it was on F as he tried to flash follow onto the Xayah. Could not do so, fortunately for him. Fury Flames was there with Tibbers to pick up the double kill. They pick up the team fight win, and while they don't get the Drake, they do get a lot of gold back in their pockets. You can see now a 600 gold lead for the side of UW-Madison, and just kind of flexing some muscles in their team fight there despite losing their AD carry so early on in the solo kill to Vufu. They still managed to win the fight, so very good signs for team fights to come for the likes of UW-Madison.
And I wonder how much of it was Gnar teleporting to immediately kill Damian Bao in the bot lane. I mean, Gnar is your most fed champion on your team. He's the only person with a mythic item. I think that was the case during that teleport as well, but he did spend his ultimate, his teleport, just to dive on top of Caitlyn, who's not that far ahead. Doesn't really have a whole lot to her name. Meanwhile, Hecarim and Annie are in the middle of that team fight, getting a whole bunch of damage onto a bunch of squishy characters. Your tank is nowhere to be found, and that's gonna smell disaster for the rest of your team.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, we had a lot of questions about this Annie coming into the game, but Fury Flames sort of making us eat our words here. He's 3-0-0 already with the Leandri's Anguish in the inventory, and set up very, very well to try to carry this game for his team. He is going to be extremely strong in the next couple of fights as he has massively accelerated over his counterpart in his story, and trading coming into the top side. Oh, this is an all-in.
Yeah, Vufu is pulled into the Shadow Realm here, but he is going to win this duel. He's going to probably throw the opponent's soul into a Seal of Orichalcos. Going to grab himself a shutdown, I believe, as well. So that's another chunk of gold into Gnar's pockets in this top lane as he continues his kill streak.
Yeah, Vufu got that Atlantean magic working for him in the backside, just sucking souls out of the enemy members. This man's is 4-0-0 on a Gnar of all champions, just absolutely smurfing the game at the moment with that stride breaker and inventory. You see it there, just so hard to get away from, so hard to kite. And it is just a big problem for Salted. But meanwhile, bottom lane might have some action. Nah,
Oh,
nope.
yeah.
Yeah, I baited it. Yeah, that's a hard bait.
No,
I'm
no,
so
no,
sorry,
it's
Cat.
okay. Oh, wait, that's an ultimate in the mid lane. Fury Flames dealing a huge chunk of damage. That's the Ignite as well. Historian is going to go down. Fury Flames showing the 38%. Fury Flames also looking for something on Exodus here. He's taken very, very low, but that's still so much damage. Look at Exodus now having to tank Tibbers. He's below half HP. He's still burning from that Leandri's Torment. That's just so much damage. You really can't underestimate this Annie here.
Yeah, but Vufu might be in trouble here. Will they be able to get the unkillable member?
Yeah, that's the Onslaught of Shadows. That's going to be the Chilling Smite as well. Vufu is so incredibly low. The shutdown goes on to Natan, and that is a huge pickup for them. 1-1-4 for them, 400 gold. That's a very easy mythic item probably for Hecarim here.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. You know, Hecarim is a champion that needs to scale, that needs to get ahead early to try to carry games. And Natan looking fairly good. He's even CS with his enemy jungler. He's now going to pick up that mythic item that you mentioned. He is going to go that chem tank route there. So we'll go the tanky Hecarim that has been cropping up a lot because, you know, you still do damage on a Hecarim just from going fast. You don't even need the damage. So I like the build path coming in from Natan. I think it's a little broken, but we'll let Riot figure that one out later. Meanwhile, the enemy team here trying to deal with the onslaught. As you can see, the Gnar just not strong enough without Mega to stay alive in top lane. They get the shutdown gold onto Natan as well. And overall, just very nice play from UW-Madison across the map as they find advantages in multiple parts of the map, keep themselves in the ascending gold lead. It's now 1K at 18 minutes. So nothing, you know, to write home about exactly, but we'll be feeling good again on this composition that over and over again, Shikari has reminded us needs to get ahead to really be effective and carry this game to a victory.
Yeah, for sure. And we're seeing a Rift Maker also being popped up on the Mordekaiser here. And this is an item that got buffed in the most recent patch and certainly does benefit Mordekaiser a whole lot. It does increase the amount of magic damage that you do the longer a fight goes on. And Mordekaiser does like those long engagements. He is going to lose his top turret, though, as Exodus, meanwhile, sneaky picks up a Rift Herald for himself. You're going to deposit that top lane and unlock that Gnar to freely roam around the map.
Yeah, that top lane turret will go down and will allow the Gnar to roam around the map. But you usually want to try to take down mid lane turret with that one. But of course, that mid lane turret extremely healthy considering how good of a game Fury Flames has been having up to this point. 4-1 with a 15 CS lead on that Annie, proving all of the haters wrong. You know, little girls can do damage too. You don't need to be a cyborg overlord to get that one done. And really showing out here on this very rare pick. Got the right skin as well with that Galaxy Annie. So I approve 100% from Fury Flames' performance so far, as we do have a lot of posturing coming out from both sides. The next Drake spawning in 5 seconds. It is an Infernal Soul that will be available as both teams are on one Drake, 3 to go for both.
Yeah, all 5 members of Duo Q Gaming are here. They are ready to go. The teleport from Mordekaiser is coming down into the bottom lane here. It looks like they're finally seeing it. But this might be the go switch for UW-Madison Shredded. Here comes the box up from Thresh. No one's engaged just yet. The hand is coming out. He's pulled Exodus into the Shadow Realm, and that's exactly the opening that they needed in order to steal the Drake. No one has fallen just yet, but Vufu is insanely low. That's going to be Damian Bao picking up the kill here. Exodus is very low on the back line, and he's going to pick up the kill on the Natan. But Salted Asian is going to do so much damage. A double kill for Damian Bao. He's going to force out both the Udyr. That's going to be the ace in the hole. That's going to be the triple kill for Caitlyn, and a massive team fight for UW-Madison Shredded.
Yeah, just huge from Shredded here. They pick up the Drake. It's a nice smite from Natan, and the fight overall goes in their favor to blow this gold lead a little bit open. It's now 2K with that mid lane turret falling. And really, I think the big difference in that one is Vufu just never hit Mega. he
Mhm.
died before he could hit it. That bar was ticking up. He was very, very close, but without hitting that mega form, he never had the ulti to create a zone, to get extra health, to create CC. And he died too quickly. It allowed the rest of UW-Madison to just collapse onto his lineup, who were already sitting at half HP, quarter HP. And while there was a bit of a cleanup effort coming in from Coltarin on the Xayah, it just didn't come fast enough. The health bars weren't low enough. He couldn't get enough before he was jumped upon by Damian Bao, by Salted, by Fury Flames, and they clean up the fight that did get a little bit split. They take the Drake as well, and now in pole position is UW-Madison to take this game home. They got a Drake spawning in 3.5 minutes. Baron is already on the map. Another big team fight win like that could earn them the purple worm and a chance to push into the enemy base.
Yeah, not to mention that they are full on mythic items now. That usually we wait a little bit longer for supports to finally finish up their mythic items, but now they're here, and Xayah just opting for the Essence Reaver just a little bit before their mythic item might just lower their power just a little bit, but we'll see how that happens when the next team fight starts up, which could be soon. It could be soon. It could be within the next. It could be in 3 minutes. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be. I think these teams will likely be looking for that 2 minute, 45-second Drake timer there to have their next fight. Particularly if you are the side of UW-Madison, you're very happy with the map state at the moment. You've got multiple turrets in your favor here in the mid lane, so you can kind of go to both sides of the map. You got a scaling Caitlyn. So I think you're pretty happy with how the map state is at the moment. If you can push one more turret, sure, go for it. But with the 2 Drakes in their back pocket and an Infernal Soul, I do think that's what they will likely prioritize as a win condition. So for them, I don't think there's a whole lot of need to do anything before the next Drake comes up. If you are the side of Duo Q, however, I think you might want to be looking for some sort of pick, because the way that the team fights have been going so far, even though we went over the fact that it should be a little bit of easier team fighting for Duo Q, that has not been the case. UW-Madison has really overperformed in these team fights on an individual basis and have won them. So if you are Duo Q, maybe you want to get stuff in a little bit more in your favor before you try to square up with the cheeseheads here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's going to be really tough to like get to get these team fights exactly in your favor, especially when you have a couple of scaling champions. I mean, this could be a huge power spike for Duo Q Gaming now that Xayah has finally picked up that Kraken Slayer. We'll have to see how everything pulls together here. When the next team fight happens, whenever that happens to be, whether it's 2 seconds from now or a whole minute.
Yeah, it could be any amount of time here for the side of Duo Q, but do you still have a minute on that Drake? So I expect things to remain mostly the same. We harped on it over and over again, but this mid lane matchup, it's just so in the favor of the Annie. The Victor 0-4-3 in this matchup, despite it having a 38% win rate, platinum plus on the ladder. So it has been quite a performance from Fury Flame so far, and we're going to need to see an improvement from Historian if his side wants to win this game. Of course, Victor will just get stronger as the game goes on. It's just the nature of the champion, but he's going to have to perform a little bit better on these team fights for his side to come away with positive plays and potentially an overall victory.
I mean, we talked about a particular item when in the beginning parts of this game and in Champ Select as well, when it comes to fighting up against Annie, and it seems completely missing from Historian's pockets here. No Verdant Barrier. We talked about that item a whole lot. It did receive a couple nerfs. I don't think it scales, it gives you AP anymore, but it does give you magic resist, and it does build into a Banshee's Veil, both of which are very good against Annie. Magic resist and being immune to CC and spells. Pretty good against Annie, but it seems to be completely absent from Victor's pouch here, but it's going to be the Infernal Drake just being an easy pickup, and Duo Q Gaming is going to trade the mid lane here, but it looks like Natan wants an engage here. That's a very fast pony. That's going to be Thresh fleeing into Salted. Asian, that's so much damage. Natan now running for his life as he's already fought the team. Poodle fighting Vufu on the backside here, but we got to really watch Damian Bao and And Fury Flames here are doing so much damage. Exodus is now the last member alive, and that is 4 for 1 in favor of UW-Madison Shredded.
Yeah, beautiful stuff from UW Shredded. And I actually like the call there from DuoQ. If you're not comfortable team fighting, if you think you're going to get beat, why go to that Drake? Let them have soul point, take mid lane turret. It's a good objective for you to have to get map pressure, but they don't do it quick enough. So they get caught out in an awkward choke point. It's an easy ulti coming in from Natan that separates the support away from the rest of his team. And after that, honestly, the fighting is just better from UW-Madison. We know this team took down the 1 seed in the tournament, so we know they have this in their pocket, but they are just showing it out here in game number 1, and it's best highlighted, I think, by Salted in that fight, just so tanky in the front line, creating a ton of disruption. You even saw Koltarin flash and then Blade Caller to try to take him down, but he was able to absorb the damage, take on that Xayah, and that allowed them to just clean up the fight so very easily. And it is a large gold lead now for the likes of UW-Madison. They've got a 5K gold lead with that third Drake in their pockets, with the Baron now on multiple members, I believe, and they are all set up to win this game if they can make a good push out of this one, because Caitlyn, really, really good at sieging turrets.
Oh yeah, for sure. She has long range. She's got those traps for long distance pressure and zoning. She also has very good wave clear with that Piltover Peacemaker. And considering the amount of the wave clear that DuoQ Gaming has, that's in the pockets of Xayah and Vladimir, having that additional magic resist to basically nullify Vladimir means that you have to have Xayah kind of float between these lanes here, especially since UW-Madison is doing a 1-3-1 here.
Yeah, you will need that to be the case. And the 1-3-1 is interesting coming out from UW-Madison. 1-3-1's typically a little bit tricky to execute, and their champions are not exactly traditional 1-3-1 champions. They are very strong at the moment, which I think is the reason that this does come out, is because how does Victor answer Annie in a side lane, even though you would expect Victor to be stronger than an Annie, later on in the game. He's 0-5-4. The Annie's got 2 items completed at the moment. It's just not a fair matchup. So I think that's really why we see the 1-3-1 flexed at the moment, rather than the actual composition that has been, put together here by UW-Madison. But nevertheless, you see it being effective. 1 tower already down in top lane. Now the first tier going to fall in bot lane as Fury Flames continues to push forward, and they've got a decent amount of vision in top side, not as much in bot, but now they are moving towards that part of the jungle to give Fury Flames the protection that he needs to push this champion forward and to look for these deeper turrets on the side of DuoQ.
Yeah, and the 1-3-1 is also a little awkward because usually you want that when you have multiple teleports on your team, but really the only teleport for UW-Madison Shredded here is that Mordekaiser. Is the Mordekaiser in that top lane? And Annie is sitting on Ignite. Well, not a bad summoner spell to take on Annie for sure, but definitely in this 1-3-1 situation, not exactly ideal.
Yeah, TPs, semi-globals, globals, always going to be a huge thing to 1-3-1 comps. It allows you to just get to the rest of your members quicker than the enemy. Oh, this is awkward.
Oh yeah, that's Poodle might have got the back stopped, and that's now 4 members of DuoQ Gaming. That's going to be Alistar Ultimate forced to flash here as well. So many resources trying to get away. But oh man, that's huge, as now Infernal Drake is spawning in 45 seconds, and that might not be an Alistar Ultimate ready to go.
Yeah, let this be a lesson to all you kids out there in chat. Back at the same time as your teammates. And I don't mean like a second later or 2. I mean at the exact same time as your teammates. Do it, because that's what happens if you don't. You back at the wrong time, the first member goes away, and they say, oh, hey, there's a juicy little cow for me to turn into steak, and they do so. And now, as you mentioned, that Alistar going to be respawning right at the time this Drake is, and will not have his ultimate or his flash available for the team fight. So a big, big loss and a dampener to the tempo for UW-Madison as they do posture around this potential soul point.
Yeah, this is definitely a huge dragon for them, but it doesn't look like DuoQ Gaming is really capitalizing on the fact that it's a 4v5, and now Alistar is here, and so now Let's see what happens. This is Soul Point. Vufu does almost have Mega Gnar. He tried to hop over the wall. It doesn't work. That's actually a huge engagement tool just gone as Natan now dives onto the back line here, focusing down 3 members. Koltarin taken down for Fury Flames on the backside here. We said that this Annie wasn't going to scale. We said that this Annie was going to have a hard time, but now they have 3 kills to their name, maybe even a 4th. That's going to be Damian Bao picking up a kill for themselves. They're now unstoppable as Infernal Drake, the Infernal Soul, goes over to UW-Madison shredded.
Yeah, once again, UW-Madison shredded, just out team fighting the likes of DuoQ. You know, you saw what DuoQ wanted to do. They had Vufu on a pretty decent flank angle to try to come over the wall, but whether he knew the interaction or not, or just didn't, execute it properly, he didn't get over the wall with the hop. So just not on the same timer as the rest of his team, and the engage from the Hecarim that was prioritized for Natan is devastating. Gets into the middle of 3, gets very low health bars. That allows Fury Flames to come in and just clean up the entire fight. And once again, UW-Madison find their victories in that fight. They pick up the Infernal Drake, and they are going to lose a member here. I think.
Salted Asian taken very low here. He's going to use the shield to try to stay alive as best he can. Exodus is knocked away, but now Damian Bao is trying to put down as much pressure as he can. That's going to be the gravity wall, but will it stop Fury Flames? It cannot. Poodle's going to re-engage. That's the headbutt pulverize, and that's going to be the onslaught of shadows landing on the tip of Vufu here. Going to stand in the way. That's going to be the stun onto the Hecarim here. That's going to be a huge headbutt pulverize. Damian Bao is now looking for the follow-up damage. He's going to be able to find the kill on Udyr, but now Vufu and Jarhead are the only members left. Koltarin finally re-entering this team fight, but that is huge for Shredded here, and they might be able to finish the game.
Yeah, they just might. Again, they have a Caitlyn, very strong sieger. There are still 30 seconds and 20 seconds on the enemy members. It's all going to be up until Koltarin, but the killing through the wave away, and this is likely just the end.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge flash stun from Fury Flames here, but they can't stop Damian Bao from killing the Nexus here. That is going to be GG, and game 1 going over to UW-Madison shredded.
Yeah, and what a performance from Shredded. We had a lot of questions about their team composition in general, but clearly a comfort composition from them, because Fury Flames and Salted looked so good in this game, and those were the 2 members we were really worried about in Champion Select. How do you match up against this Victor? How do you match up against this Gnar? Apparently extremely well if you are UW-Madison players, and they continue their momentum off of taking down the #1 seed with a very convincing game 1 against DuoQ. Fury Flames 10-2-8 on that Annie, 4-1-9 for Salted on the Mordekaiser. They are looking good in their solo lanes, and I got some worries for DuoQ if you want to stay alive in this series, in this playoffs, because that was a bit of a runaway from the likes of UW-Madison shredded.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of really, really well-played moments here by UW Shredded. Like you said, a whole lot of question marks going into this game, but, UW-Madison Shredded made us eat our own words as they are able to pull out a win for themselves in game 1. But we are going to take just a quick break. Don't go anywhere when we come back. UW-Madison Shredded up against DuoQ Gaming, game 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Style Esports Season 6 playoffs. We are once again in bracket 6 semi-finals of UW-Madison Shredded versus Duo Q Gaming. They have swapped sides, so Duo Q Gaming is on the blue, with UW-Madison Shredded is on the red. My name is Shinkari. I'm joined by the DJ, and we are getting into Game 2. DJ, how you doing?
Doing great, Shinkari, particularly after that game one in which, as a caster, sometimes you gotta just admit when you're wrong. You gotta take it to heart. You gotta take it in your soul. You gotta take it to your pride, because UW-Madison, and in particular, Natan and Fury Flames here, just showing me that you can pick, or excuse me, Salted and Fury Flames, just showing me you can pick whatever you want. It doesn't matter. If you're great at the champion, it just doesn't matter, because that's what it was in game one, as they just smurfed on the two champions that I was concerned about to pick up that game number one for UW-Madison Shredded.
Yeah, and we already see the bans coming out, and we have a couple mid lane bans, Anivia and Annie banned away from Fury Flames, and Scion also banned away from Salted Asian. If you are confused at all about that Scion ban, let me educate you just a little bit about our good friend Salted Asian, who has 310 games this season on Scion and a positive win rate. This guy,
a very positive win rate.
Yeah, I think we joked about, I don't know where this college student is finding the time to play 310 games at least of League of Legends, and also remembering the fact that for a lot of college kids, like, there's going to be spring break coming on. If this guy has enough time to play 310 games of Scion, how much more time is he going to gain to play more Scion?
Man, just give me the soul, give me all the soul furnace, all the Q drops you can, because this man loves the undead zombie. Unfortunately, he will not get it this game. Instead, Duo Q going to prioritize the Mundo for Exodus in their first pick. They're going to be answered by Olaf and Victor, so it will be UW-Madison and Fury Flames taking that one away for themselves. We'll have to see what the answer is from Duo Q as they do get into the last two picks of their phase one. I do like Mundo as a jungler. I think it can be very good. I don't really like Mundo as a first pick jungler, because there is just so much, similar to like taking a Vayne first pick, there's so much you can do to just mess up a Mundo in draft as you go through four or five whole new picks for that draft.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's just like it's another pick that is kind of flexible, I guess, that maybe they were like, hey, let's pick Mundo and maybe we can like flex it top if we see some sort of counter pick. Maybe that was the reasoning, but I do ultimately agree with you that Dr. Mundo isn't exactly a first pick, and Udyr was also on the table as well, and I didn't exactly hate Exodus's play on Udyr in the previous game.
Yeah, I didn't hate his play either. I thought it was just fine. The Hecarim did seem to have a little bit more impact in fights in general, but the Udyr was farming fine. It generally is more of a pick champion, and I think it was piloted just fairly well by Exodus. So maybe not the impact we see from some of these sort of ridiculous Udyr games where they're just taking over every second of the map. But they will just try to get Exodus maybe onto something a little more comfortable as the drafts do get rounded out here. It's a Sivir in for Duo Q, which is a bit fascinating here to pick your AD carry without the support at the end of phase one. That is answered right back by UW-Madison, who do go for the Kaisa, which I also don't really understand or buy as an answer to Sivir, who will typically just massively outrange you with her her bouncing blades and both the Q and the bouncing blades on the W. So not sure about this one, but again, UW-Madison have already shown me that I should not question their picks in draft, because apparently Damian Bao just really wants this Kaisa.
Yeah, and it's really, really different from what we saw in the previous game as well. I'm at least expecting a very similar support from what we saw from Poodle in the previous game. I'm expecting to see maybe an Alistar or a Leona, since Thresh and Rel are banned away, two of the biggest counters to those two really big champions here. And yeah, Duo Q Gaming reads right into it and bans away the Alistar, which does mean Leona is open if UW-Madison want to pick up a support here. And that is what they're doing. There she is, the big old sun lady, here to bring her big shield and her solar flares.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it. Do it.
Come on, UW-Madison, do it.
Do it.
Give into your anger. Yes, there it is.
How many times are we gonna say the same 2 words over and over again?
Test us, shall we dare you? There's no end. There is no end to my randomness, but Leona is the lock in here against Sivir. Like you said, I do like the pickup from UW-Madison. You took away the best counter option to Sivir with the Alistar, so why don't you just pick the second best one? You know, there's plenty of CC in Leona's kit that will be a threat to Sivir no matter spell shield or not. The Rakan will be picked up to match with her. That should provide an extra guardian shield, I think, is the concept here. Also a lot of heal on the ultimate and potential engage for a Q setup. This sort of makes me think that it's going to be the lethality, no attack speed Sivir that we've been seeing crop up in solo queue, because you don't really want to pair that with Rakan, who does like to roam, who's maybe not going to be as big of a peel for you as you want, and can set up your boomerang blade. The Camille does come in to round out the draft. That's interesting as a blind pick, I would say, from Duo Q. Can be a threat no matter what. UW-Madison going to look at that Camille. They're hovering the Shen. Will this be the lock-in for Salted? It will be. Wow. So I got to say, looking at the draft, the bot lane is very interesting here, because this is a lethality Sivir most likely going to want to exist mostly on her own, farm up to a strong state and poke this Kai'Sa out. But if you can't poke the Kai'Sa out and Damian Bao shows up in mid game, and is decently strong, this UW-Madison comp is absolutely dope.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so much strong engage. They have such great CC for Kai'Sa to follow up on. They have a really great kind of control here to kind of like complement this Kai'Sa in a lot of short range engagements, especially with the short range that Victor is and all the melee champions that they've drafted as well. I also like that Victor is probably going to be taking teleport, and Shen is going to have teleport as well as Stand United. So this is a team that can fight on a lot of neutral objectives pretty well. I do also want to make a quick ruling as the self-appointed unofficial flavor judge of Style Esports. I would like to say that Duo Q Gaming has officially gotten a flavor fail after picking Xayah alone in game 1 and then picking Rakan by himself in game 2.
Big flavor fail gonna come in here from Shinkari.
Huge flavor fail, honestly.
They split up the lovers duo here, and nonetheless on one of the 2 St. Patrick's weekends that we had in Chicago here. Don't mind me which one was which, but we had 2 somehow because it was a Wednesday for St. Patrick's Day. Don't ask me why. Nevertheless, it is that Rakan picked up sort of alone, and I kind of see what Duo Q is going for here. That they have a lot of CC, they have a lot of pick potential, but it does seem a little bit difficult with their team fighting composition. You want Sivir to speed up the rest of your team, get them into engage. You can get the Orianna close, you can get the ball delivery onto, say, the Rakan or the Camille, but if the Camille kind of gets blown up or isn't ahead, if your engage happens and the Sivir is disconnected, where is the damage really going to come from for a lot of these champions? You're going to be running into a Victor Gravity Well, the Shen Shield will come in over the top. So I really do like UW-Madison's composition here in response to Duo Q. I think it can answer a lot of things that they have. I think it's a better team fighting comp overall. I think later in the game, you can get the Victor or the Shen out into a side lane to match the Camille. And there's really no one else that wants to 1-3-1 for Duo Q, so it will be likely mostly a 4-1. And in a 4-1, you could even just answer with the Victor and let the Shen teleport onto him. So I think there are a ton of options here for UW-Madison. I really like the answers they have had to this draft. My big question mark will be, can Damian Bao get through this lane? Because the Sivir will have range. She will have engaged with Rakan. She can do a ton of damage to you if you're not dodging those Qs. So if Damian Bao can keep himself healthy, they can have a positive bot lane here to start the game. I think this is a great composition and looking like a clean 2-0 for UW-Madison.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely give them the edge in this draft. But I will say that Duo Q Gaming here huge ups to having both Sivir and Rakan. I still think that post level 6, this is a very good duo. That Rakan getting a huge movement speed buff and huge amounts of mobility from himself, and then also augmenting that with Sivir. Not to mention that Camille and Rakan both are very good ball delivery systems for Orianna here. I mean, even though I don't like their team comp as much as Duo Q Gaming, I still think that they've drafted something pretty cohesive here and could be incredibly powerful if the Orianna Rakan duo wombo combo is able to get off.
Yeah, I think that is the option here. I think it's a little easier to pick characters off. I think you can get a big Orianna ulti, but again, it's the sort of composition like last game you say, it's just a little harder to get it right. You got to get things right to make it happen. And I think in particular, I pointed out the bottom lane having an advantage, but on the opposite side of the map, Camille is a volatile pick. Vufu does not get ahead of Shen, does not have split push threat. It's going to be rough in fights to figure out what Vufu should do. He's going to want to jump on the Kai'Sa, but if you Hextech ultimatum a Kai'Sa and you're not strong, you don't one-shot her with the Q, you're probably just going to get burst out by the enemy team. So the whole sort of setup here from the likes of Duo Q feels a little awkward to me when Mundo is your only tank and likely main frontline, but we'll have to see if they can execute, can get that ball on the right places, and can maybe assassinate priority targets to win these fights, because they're going to need to if they want this series and their playoffs to continue.
Yeah, for sure. But with that, we are going to take just a quick break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we are going to be on Summoner's Rift with UW-Madison Shredded versus Duo Q Gaming Game 2. This is the big question. Will Duo Q Gaming be able to take this to a Game 3, or will UW-Madison continue their underdog winning streak through this bracket? All those the answers to those questions will be yours after this. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Style Esports Season 6 playoffs. We are in Bracket 6, Round 2. UW-Madison Shredded are up a game over Duo Q Gaming. We're finally in Summoner's Rift for Game 2. Let's see if the UW-Madison Shredded will continue their underdog onslaught through Bracket 6, or will Duo Q Gaming be able to knock them down a peg, get rid of their perfect record, and move this on to a Game 3. My name is Shinkari, and I am joined once again by DJ. And we are now a minute into this game after all those intros. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, nothing going on here. Just standard lines of scrimmage here, Shinkari. And, as you mentioned, the big question on everyone's mind is, will this be a clean 2-0 sweep from UW-Madison Shredded, or will we get a Game 3 from some turnaround from Duo Q? And, unlike game number 1, you heard me talking about it. I am very much in favor of this UW-Madison draft. Maybe that is the caster curse for tonight. I obviously was wrong about game number 1, so maybe UW-Madison just wants me to shut up, but I really like their draft. I love what they've done for themselves here on the red side. I think they've gotten a ton of power picks into their pocket. Their team composition makes a ton of sense to me. And like I said, I think, even looking at the Sivir here, we're not even probably going to get the lethality Sivir, not going for that Dark Harvest. So most likely just going to build a pretty standard build for Sivir. Makes me even a little less positive about this bottom lane for the likes of Duo Q. So I am very much in favor of what Madison have done here. I think they team fight easier. I think they can answer split push. And I just think this looks like a winning draft. So if we can see them perform at all like they did in game number 1, where they exceeded my expectations, I think they should take this home pretty cleanly in a 2-0 sweep.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm definitely giving it over to Leona and Kaisa, who do have the potential to be punished in these team fights, but still it's really important that Koltarin really gets this time to just kind of farm around. Assaulted Asian might be the target for first blood here. Exodus coming in, that's gonna be the flash away, but now there's two flash in response. The cleaver doesn't land, and that is gigantic. Assaulted Asian looking for a re-engage, but that's gonna force the flash away from Exodus, as well as 3 flashes are spent in the top lane trying to find first blood, but no one is ultimately successful.
Oh, and man, Salted Asian gonna be sweating a little bit after that one. Gonna have salt coming out of his pores, I think, as that cleaver went just wide, was likely to be his death sentence. But in the end, because it misses, he gets to turn the play around, force the flash out of Exodus as well. And that turns into a positive play for UW-Madison, who have to be feeling great now. Level 3 hit early for their bottom lane. So looking good across the map. And because of that early involvement from the Mundo and topside, look at the farm difference in the jungle already. It's a 14 CS lead that is 3 camps up for Natan already in the early game on this Olaf, who is so strong and has so much tempo against Mundo, particularly in the early game. So man, oh man, is this a positive start for Shredded.
Yeah, and with that mid priority, with the wave pushed up so far, he's able to maybe get a double crab here. He's walking directly through the lane, and immediately on top of the double crab here. And that is a huge play for the for jungle here. It does also mean that the 3rd crab of the game, I believe, spawns in the top, which can mean that if Natan wants to, he can sneak a dragon when it spawns if he's able to. So we'll have to see how that 3rd crab spawns, but like you said, that's so much gold that now Olaf has over Mundo.
Yeah, it's a lot of gold, and even though it's shrunk now back to an 8 CS differential, that's 2 camps. Like, when Olaf has a lead over you, it tends to get worse, not better, particularly on this Mundo, who can clear pretty quickly, but is going to want to get involved at some point. And, Olaf just clears so quickly, and the jungle is trading coming out in topside here. Both, oh God, look at those shields. It's so obnoxious. Both of those top lane champions just have so many strong shields. Nobody took any damage in that trade, Shinkari.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when both top laners take the endurance runes into these lanes. They're not dealing damage. They're just kind of, especially with the adaptive shield from Camille and also the dodge zone from Shen, it's gonna be very hard for either of them to be dealing any sort of meaningful damage to each other.
Yeah, and I do have to say that I do, dislike the grasp on the Camille just a little bit here. I think the rune is fine overall. You're going to get value out of it no matter what. And meanwhile, just like you said, Shinkari, Prophet Shinkari here. Look at that top side there. There's a Mundo up there looking for the Scuttlebug. Meanwhile, there's an Olaf taking the first Drake of the game. It is that Cloud Drake, and we see a Mountain Drake spawning next, so it will be Infernal or Ocean Soul. Both of those extremely valuable, so good start again from UW Shredded. But as mentioned, if you're on this grasp on the Camille, you're going to be fine in lane, but later on in the game, you're just less of a split push threat without the bonus healing, the bonus damage that will come out from Conquer against the Shen. So I'm not as big of a fan of it because I think it reduces one of the potential win conditions from this duo Q side. And based on the way the draft went, I think they need as many as they can get.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely a team fight that's going to be hard to execute. They're looking for something here. Poodle taking incredibly low here, also taking an ignite as well. Taking incredibly low. I don't think they'll be able to snatch the kill unless Poodle gets hit by a stray boomerang blade. Yeah, they're just going to chug some potions here and heal back up.
Yeah, pretty standard trading and bottling. The ignite is committed, though, a little unfortunately from Jarrett. I think maybe he thought something else was going to come out, but the Q was on cooldown there from Cold Terran, so wasn't able to truly follow up with enough damage to take down Poodle. And, now just sitting kind of in an even lane state. They are up 11 CS, but oh boy, this Olaf started level 6.
Yeah, that's going to be Ragnarok popped immediately, but Camille is coming in from the side. She's going to dodge around the gravity well, and that's going to be immediately the Hex Tech ultimatum coming down onto Natan here. He's taken incredibly low. The Stand United was already used, but Exodus has taken already so much damage, and Fury Flames is going to pick up first blood. The bot lane is here to respond, but they might be caught in the middle here as Damian Bao and Poodle immediately respond here. It's going to be both backing away, and it's going to be a teleport from Shen going back into the going back into the top lane, rather. Ooh. Wait a minute, Fury Flames now caught in between Vufu and Historian here, going to put down the gravity wells, not going to stun anyone up. Let's scratch that, it's going to stun up Historian, but he's going to be back away by the time he can follow up on anything just yet. He's just going to hug his turret for a bit.
Yeah, I think the teleport maybe just suspended there by Salted because, why not sort of thing. Just match the TP timer of Vufu. You're going to have the Stand United. Either way, he does push that wave in, gets a free reset, but overall, just a positive play once again for Shredded is ward going to be cleared out here by Natan, but you saw Natan going very low on that Olaf. But again, you have the Shen ulti. The shield comes in, it gives extra time. The taunt comes out. Mundo's not that tanky at this point in the game. Hadn't even back to get a real item yet. He does now have, of course, the Bomby Cinder, but it was just too easy to kind of burst him out before the ulti could really pop back the HP bar. So lovely stuff from Salted to help out his team. And despite the TP expenditure from Vufu, you're always going to get answered by sort of superior teleport with a shield on top from the Shen. So that's sort of how it goes when a Shen is in your top lane. They get that first blood. And again, they're feeling very, very good about how this early game is going with that better team fighting comp, with the scaling options, with the first Drake in their back pocket. It is the side of UW-Madison feeling very, very good about themselves.
Yeah, and to really quickly talk about the Shen pick, this is sort of a comfort pick for Salted Asian as well. He does have a lot of history on this champion. He hasn't played it as much as Sion, but he definitely has more than 200 games under his belt with this champion. Definitely a comfort pick for himself, and definitely an organized play like this, a really, really powerful pick, as we've seen and talked about a bit already.
Yeah, very powerful pick, and can just be a good answer into Camille, but I'll have to hold on here as there's going to be some action top side.
Yeah, Vufu was taunted up in the middle of that grappling hook there, but it looks like Camille is finally going to be able to get away. So not an entirely successful gank, but it's going to force Camille to back, which gives just Salted Asian just a little bit more breathing room as, oh man, Historian forced to flash away from a gravity well here.
Yeah, flash expended by the mid laner, and despite the gank not going well for Natan on the top side, he did miss that axe throw at the Camille. You look at the map, and there's nothing for him to farm anyway. His Gromp just spawned. He doesn't have anything on the bottom side, so it's not really time wasted because there's nothing for him to do. He's already cleared all of his camps, so he just does go to that top side. We'll say one thing in favor of Exodus here is he has completely caught up in terms of CS. We talked about how he was trailing by 2 or 3 camps in the early game, and now you look at it the complete opposite way. He's up 4 CS, which means a single camp for himself. He has his whole bottom side waiting for him here, so very nicely done by him to get back into the game, get back to a point of power, and now all of that priority that was on Natan may have been shilled away.
Yeah, the dragon has spawned, and there is a bit of priority in favor of UW-Madison shredded here. It might have to force Oriana to teleport. Oh, she teleported to lane. That might actually be really huge for this upcoming dragon fight, as Olaf is already on top of the objective here. Mundo's looking for something. Rakan is over the wall. All right, this dragon is already at half HP here. Olaf does do a lot of damage to these neutral objectives here. That's going to be the boomerang blade. That's going to be red team picking up the dragon. And it looks like they're just going to back away here. No team fights.
Yeah, no team fights, and you'll take that if you are new UW-Madison. Again, you got to feel so happy. You've got a great team comp. You love what is going on in the early game. 2 Drakes already to your name. It's a very slight gold lead, but you don't even need a gold lead to feel like you're winning because you've taken every objective on the map. The Rift Herald hasn't even gone down yet, so you have a chance to contest that one as well. Your lanes are scaling up the way that you want them to. We talked about bottom lane where I was a little nervous about maybe a lethality Sivir coming out and trying to push Damian Bao out of lane. That hasn't happened. You're even down there in the bottom lane, so the Kai'Sa will be strong to follow up, and everything's just kind of coming up UW-Madison here because this comp is not scaling, or it's not accelerating on the side of Duo Q. And again, I think they kind of need to, or at least get to a point where they're ahead on tower objectives so the Camille can be a split push threat. But without Conquer, without a big lead, I don't think Vufu really will be for quite some time. So they are likely going to have to fight at either the next Drake or the Soul Drake if they lose out on the third. And that will be a big breaking point in the game no matter what.
Yeah, but luckily for Duo Q, if they are able to lose the soul this game like they did in the previous one, this Ocean Soul is not a soul that will immediately win you the game. They still have a little bit of time. Obviously, that out of combat healing is insane, especially stacked on top of how much healing they get from regular oceans. But oh man, they might actually have to fight over this Rift Herald here. There's 3 members of the red team. Exodus waiting in the side, just throwing out cleavers as much as he can. Mundo's trying to file those cases as much as he can. Fury Flame just blocking these skill shots as much as he can. Here comes to try to get the steal, and it's going to happen. That's going to be the go button for the blue team here, and they're going to pick up 2 kills for themselves. Exodus picking up a double kill. Now Fury Flames trying to get away the gravity well is going to try to stun up Exodus. It's going to be successful, but it's not going to stop Vufu. A 3 for 0 and a stolen Rift Herald is going to put Duo Q on the map.
Well, we wanted to turn around from the side of Duo Q, and there it is. We talked about the fact that UW-Madison could definitely contest the Rift Herald due to the way the map was going, but instead of contesting it, they just opt to start it up, so they take all the damage from the Rift Herald. They go very low, get themselves to an awkward position, and all of the team fighting abilities are there for the top side of the map. The Mundo is strong, just walks in, takes a bunch of damage. The Oriana ultimate is accurate. The Camille ulti is there, and just get kind of locked down and deleted systematically by this Duo Q side. That is now a pretty sizable gold lead of 2K for the likes of Duo Q. They pick up the Rift Herald as well, which takes the first turret in top side. So beautiful stuff from them to get an early lead. Again, we said we wanted this early lead from Duo Q. We were worried that it wasn't coming, that everything was so even, but they managed to find a play around the Rift Herald on that top side to get themselves the lead and the acceleration they needed.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what we're looking for as well. We now have Camille unlocked. She doesn't need to be running into that top lane anymore. She can kind of float around if she needs to. And it also means that priority is almost always going to be in Duo Q's favor in that top lane, meaning that Shen needs to spend a lot more time in that top lane just making sure that inner turret doesn't get hit. I mean, that is one of the turrets that does not heal up and also a huge target for Duo-Q here. Oh, but that's going to be a Solar Flare. That's going to be a Zenith Blade. That's going to be a stun. Jarhead has already taken up a huge amount of damage here. That's going to be the Charms coming across. That's going to be Kaisa dashing forward. One last auto attack is going to find it, but here comes Vuvu in from the side. That's going to be a Stand United as well. It's going to get taunted, stunned, take 1,000,000 damage from Damian Bao here, but the rest of the blue team so very low. They can't defend against this, and the red team might look to turret dive if they're not too careful, but that is going to be a run for 0 on the bot lane and maybe a turret as well.
Yeah, will likely be a turret in the extended play here. I would have liked it to be a 2 for 0. I think there was a couple of missed executions from the likes of UW-Madison there in that extended team fight, and it will lose a lot of pressure for them on the top side of the map. You can see the jungler there, Exodus, moving up to push the wave in. Salted will be able to answer, and this is sort of what I'm gonna get to. The main point here is, once again, kids, I gave you a warning in game number 1. You know, I told you a very, PSA announcement. I'm gonna do it again here. You know, when you're playing against a Shen, don't teleport assuming that you have advantage. You don't. You never do, because Shen's teleport is better than yours in strictly every single scenario. So don't pretend like you have an advantage when you don't actually have one. Vuvu's done it twice this game, and he's paid for it twice.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a big price to pay, especially because Shen now also just has regular teleport and is using it right now to get into this dragon pit with this Ocean Drake already insanely low. But it looks like that's just gonna be Duo-Q Gaming backing off of this dragon and maybe trading mid turret for it, perhaps.
Yeah, they're gonna look to trade it. This could be a fight. Looking at the ulti timers, the ultis are up.
That's gonna be Solar Flare coming down onto Exodus here. He's gonna be stunned up and looking for this ultimate here to turn onto Natan, who's very far out of position. He's already down to half HP, and now Mundo's looking for more. The cleaver goes onto the side. It's not gonna be able to find anyone. That's going to be a huge ultimate from Rakan and Orianna, but they're only gonna be able to find Natan. They're not gonna be able to find anything else, as the rest of UW-Madison is using this opportunity to clear out as many minions as possible.
Yeah, and it's a bit of an awkward positioning there from Natan. I don't mind the attempt there. All of your ultis were up. You definitely could have fought, but if we look at the itemization for the likes of UW-Madison, I don't see any healing reduction in those kits just yet, Shinkari, and you don't get to fight a Mundo if you don't have any healing reduction. Yeah, it's just a no-go there, and all of the damage went onto the Mundo. So if you don't have that healing reduction, if you don't have 5 members against 1, you're not going to kill that champion in this stage of the game. They dump too much on him, and it makes it an easy pickup for Exodus onto Natan there at the back end of the fight. While they do survive the combination of the Rakan and the Orianna ulti, they still lose 1. They lose tempo around the map, and they just lose out on another team fight.
Yeah, and it's also going to be, okay, Salted Agent fighting Vufu in the top lane here, but it looks like it's just going to be a scuffle back and forth. I did want to mention really quickly that this Mundo does now have a Thorn Mail in addition to his plated steel caps. It's going to be very hard for Natan to 1v1 fight this Mundo now. Might as well just be impossible for that to happen, and also going to be very hard for Damian Bao to do the same as well. He might be sitting on a Kraken Slayer, but that Thorn Mail, that plated steel caps is going to be very hard to take down this frontline Mundo.
Yeah, I think it'll probably take one more item from Damian Bao. The passive from Kaisa always going to help you take down high health targets, but nevertheless, you are going to need the attack speed. You're going to need the time in the fights to get that passive up multiple times. And Exodus just at a very strong stage of the game right now. 20 CS ahead of his enemy laner, 2 items in the kit with the chem tank already online. So is going to be feeling very good about himself. The unfortunate thing for Exodus is that the price to be paid for all of this farm, for all this advantage, you have lost 3 Drakes. And the Soul Drake Ocean Soul is coming up in 2.5 minutes. You are going to have to contest that. You are going to have to fight that. And if you lose that fight and the Soul, you're going to be looking at a very uphill battle as this second Rift Herald is taken down by the Mundo.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much an uphill battle for them right now. They are ahead almost 3,000 gold here, and this is definitely these neutral objectives that they've been able to take. These Rift Heralds have been their pathway to victory so far. They've been able to pressure so many turrets on this map and almost get them for free. This might also be the Rift Herald just... Oh, yeah, okay. They're not going to be able to take it down before Shelly gets the charge, so a little upsetting. I think if Rakan just stayed a little bit longer, they might have been able to get it. But it looks like they just wanted the outer turret and they're just going to back away after that.
Yeah, I think you can be happy with using Shirley for outer turret there in mid lane. I think that's about worth for what the time you was expending into the second Rift Herald. I don't really think even if you had the health stay full, you would have gotten a charge on the second turret, though the minion wave wasn't in a great spot, and just want to get that priority across the map. So at the end of the day, I think that plays just fine there for the time expended, and you'll be happy with that if you are duo Q. You'll be happy with the map state as well. Again, your jungler very strong, your AD carries farmed up well. You are pretty much everywhere you need to be at the moment. The only thing, again, that I can say against their name, there are 3 Drakes on the side of UW-Madison shredded. That 4th one coming up in 45 seconds, and that will likely be a massive breakpoint in this game as both teams are certain to set up and fight for this Drake.
I mean, yeah, if you're duo Q gaming, this is the win condition that you want to keep away from Madison shredded here. You're already ahead in gold. You want to make sure that you cement that lead by forcing fights when UW-Madison is going for these objectives here that they're really, really gunning for, by the way. They've done over the past couple of games, that has been their game plan. They have been playing around these dragons insanely hard. And this might be the fight that they're looking for here. Exodus already being exactly what Mundo wants to do. Just stand in front and throw cleavers, get that decent chunk of poke damage here, and really scare UW-Madison away from engaging here. Man, it's really hard to engage on this level 12 Mundo when everyone else is down in levels. They really can't find a good engagement. If their engagement is not good also, they could get very well punished. They're still jockeying back and forth. No one is able to find anything just yet. Poodle is also looking for his solar flare onto maybe the Sivir here. That's maybe the engagement. Salted Asian looks like he's starting up the dragon here. Yeah, they have a little bit of zone advantage to their name. They're starting up the dragon here, but this is how they lost that fight around Rift Herald as well. Exodus is jumping in. That's going to be the Rakan ultimate as well. The Orianna ultimate is huge. Historia is going to pick up 2 kills for themselves as now Fury Flames has to protect Damian Bao on the backside here, but this Kai'Sa cannot do any damage. That's going to be 4 for 0. This Orianna with a triple kill. Fury Flames now the last person alive, looking for trying to get away, but that's going to be the double triple. That's going to be the full house. An ace for duo Q gaming and a dragon for themselves as well.
That is just massive for duo Q gaming, and the plan just comes together for them. They gave up multiple Drakes at the beginning of the game. The first one definitely earned by UW-Madison shredded. The second one sort of given up. The third one pretty much given up by the side of duo Q here to allow their jungler to get to a stronger state. He was down 12 CS, 3 camps at the beginning of the game, but look at him now up 20 CS on this Mundo and just nigh unkillable at the moment. And that's what you saw in the fight. He just pops the ulti, he gets onto the backline with the help of Jarhead on the Rakan. It disrupts Damian Bao long enough that they just delete the enemy front line through the Orianna. They win out on the team fight. It's a clean ace coming out from them. The power just flex through their jungle, through their mid lane, winning the fight, picking up the Drake, stalling UW-Madison for another 5 minutes here. And they are going to be feeling so good now about this game, because if that is any microcosm for how the fights are going to go, they are just going to clean house in any sort of team objective at the moment because of how far ahead they are. 0-3-1 on this Olaf is Natan. 3-1-6 on the Mundo, so far ahead in the jungle. They should win these engagements, and they will be confident anytime they show up in front of a dragon, in front of a Baron, from here until about 50 minutes. So lovely stuff from the likes of Duo Q, and they have given themselves complete control of this second game.
Yeah, and not to... Ooh, Solar Flare coming across from Poodle, but looks like just a little bit of an awkward call here. Salted Asian now forced on the side here. Here comes the On the Hunt. They're looking for Salted Asian here. He's taken so incredibly low. The Shen shield is not going to protect you for very long. That's going to be Kai'Sa shooting a missile across the board, but that's 3 versus 5 right now. It's going to force you to use Ragnarok to get away, and Poodle is going to be the next one to go down, and that is going to be a 2 for 0 on a very awkward engage in the mid lane.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what Poodle was hoping to get there. You're ulting onto a Rakan who can easily just kind of dash away from it, whether with the E or the W. It doesn't connect, and you end up getting your top laner caught out. Salted, doesn't have the cooldowns quite yet. It doesn't have the ability haste to get away. Doesn't get the second taunt. Is easily run down, and I think Poodle oversteps a little bit as well, trying to either amend the mistake or bail out the top laner. So two fall here on the side of UW-Madison, and while they are all up already, and they will be in time for this Baron, but a trap is being set for them. And oh boy, if they fall for this Shinkari, this could just be the game.
Yeah, they do have vision of the enemy team with that Kaisa rocket there. They're going to immediately back away. That's going to be them backing away. They spot out the ward as well. They're going to be like, okay, we're not going to engage on this. Very well played by them. They have a couple means in order to spot them out from far away. And I agree that if that had happened, that would have been disastrous, because Camille can hop over the wall, Rakan can follow, and there was also it's just very hard to get away from that team at that point. There's a ball delivery system as well. On top of that, it would have just been disaster for UW-Madison Shredded here.
Yeah, certainly would have been disaster. Like, Shredded is just not strong enough at this point in the game to get into these fights. You want multiple sources of healing reduction. Your Kaisa has Lord Dominic's regard at this point, but you really only have healing reduction on one still, and that's the Shen with the Bramble Vest. You don't have an Oblivion Orb. You don't have an Executioner's Calling, so it's going to be hard still to kill the Mundo. And you look across the board for the likes of DuoQ, 3-0-5 on the Camille, 2 items. 4-1-7 on the Mudo, 2 items. The Oriana, 2 items here. 3-0-7, 2 items on Sivir, 1-0-5. You're just staring uphill at a mountain with only your 80 carry on a legit 2-item spike. So just so far behind, you don't want to take these fights. And honestly, I think if you're the likes of UW-Madison, you're just going to have to give up this Drake that's about to come up in 45 seconds, because you are just nowhere near the fighting power of DuoQ.
Yeah, and they might even need to just kind of shove waves where DuoQ Gaming just aren't. Historian actually caught out here, maybe? That's going to be the Solar Flare coming down on the Historian as well, and that's going to be the shutdown. Maybe this is what they were looking for. That's already one member down, and now they've taunted onto Koltarin on the backside. That's going to be a flash forward from Kaisa, but now she's facing Vufu in the middle there, and they're going to immediately back away. That's a 1-for-0. A bunch of tools were spent, but maybe that's what they needed. They're going to immediately start up the Baron here. That is a huge call.
Yeah, I don't see why not. You've got a Kaisa that can absolutely shred this. You've got the time here against Historian with 20 seconds remaining. Exodus does have the flash and the smite, but this really is your chances. You are falling behind in this game, so I don't mind the call, but I will be a bit flippy here in the 4v5.
Yeah, they'll have to take this down a lot quicker. Sivir is coming. She's almost here. She doesn't have On the Hunt, but she should be able to do it. Natan is very low. That's going to be the Hextech ultimatum coming across, and now they're looking to try and steal it away. The red team is being destroyed here, though, as they're still tanking up the Baron. Exodus just walks up and says, I don't need to steal this. I can just walk up and take it for myself. Fury Flames is now going to be the target for Vufu here as he tries to use the gravity well. He's going to be taken down by the ace on second of the game, and a Baron buff for the blue team as well.
Yeah, I don't mind the call coming in from UW-Madison. I think going straight for the Baron is not the worst thing I've ever seen. What I do mind is the fact that they peeled off of it. Once again, you don't win a fight if you're shredded here. You just don't. You don't win fights at this point, particularly when you're coming off of a Baron that's shredding your resistances and armor while you take it down. You just got to turn and focus that thing, knock it down, flash over the wall, get away to fight another day, maybe leave a sacrifice behind, but instead you try to turn to fight, and it's an unwinnable fight. You can't get away with it. You just get yourself absolutely clobbered again. It's now 16-3 in kill score. You give up the Baron, you give up the next Drake. It's just a catastrophe for Shredded, and now they find themselves down 10k gold, basically up a paddle without a creek. I just don't see how they come back in this game unless they find an opportunity to somehow steal one of these Drakes away from the complete map control that DuoQ have gained for themselves.
Yeah, not to mention that DuoQ Gaming has essentially been playing UW-Madison with these neutral objectives like a fiddle. They every single time we've seen a fight over a neutral objective like Dragon, like that Baron, and also the Rift Herald before, Duo Q Gaming is perfectly fine with waiting and waiting and waiting for UW-Madison to do all the work for them as, oh man, Poodle might be caught out here. Jarhead looking for something that's going to force out the solar flare. Oh no, that's a huge ultimate off the table for UW-Madison here.
Yeah, fortunately for UW-Madison, not a whole lot on the map at the moment for Duo Q to take. So we'll probably have that solar flare available once again for the next fight. But you can even see in chat there, it's Poodle saying, yikes, spoopy in the chat, as it's just so hard for UW-Madison to get vision. I mean, look at the wards being placed down by the likes of Duo Q in the enemy jungle. So many deep wards, just that one ward in the river for UW-Madison, giving them any sort of vision to try to stay alive as they do move into the jungle. They're just getting their camps taken away systematically. It's just becoming very, very difficult for Madison to escape the snowball that Duo Q is looking to put down on top of them as we approach the 31-minute mark.
Oh yeah, that's going to be on the hunt as Fury Flames is now the target. That's going to be the Hextech Ultimatum as well. Stand United is coming across, but is not going to be able to complete as Vufu completely annihilates Victor behind his own tier 2 turret. And the rest of the blue team is here to complete the push.
Yeah, lovely pick there, using the tools available to you. The Hextech Ultimatum locks down the victory. The rest of your team goes in, gets a kill. And now with the Shenalty down, you can kind of do what you want in this push, as Exodus does show up on this level 16 Mundo. And oh my word, that is, yeah, nobody's killing Exodus here, Shinkari.
Oh yeah, he's got a Randuin's Omen, which means he has protection from crits. He has a Spirit Visage, which means he heals up more whenever he presses his ultimate. He's got a Thorn Mail, which means no matter what auto attacks you throw at him, it's going to be bounced back damage right back at you. And not to mention, we said this before, probably about 10 minutes ago, but there's no Grievous Wounds. Where are the Grievous Wounds, team? We only just now picking up an Oblivion Orb. We still don't have an Executioner's Calling on Kaisa, and now there's just, oh man, this is just another team fight that is not good for UW-Madison here, as now Natan is in the middle of 4 members of the team, and Exodus is the same on the other side, but we just see the complete stark opposite. Exodus just running rampant through the team, taking up 2 Nexus turrets and might be able to kill Damian Bao before he goes down. He is able to do it with the help of Vufu, but now it's a 1v2, and now Sivers come to join the party as well. Salted Agent taking incredibly low. That's going to be the double kill for Vufu, and that might also be the game as well.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be the game, and we will get that game 3 that we were asking for. Lovely turnaround from Duo Q, who once again bucked the trend of DJ predicts things in this game, and will move us to that critical game 3.
Yeah, this is definitely the win streak has been broken against UW-Madison. Shredded here. They are now 3-1 in this bracket, and you know, we saw them pick a team comp that was very, very well put together here, but it didn't seem like they were able to execute on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bit of a struggle across the map. Like, they were sitting kind of pretty, you know, at about the 15 to 18 minute mark, you know, fairly even on camps, fairly even on farm across the board. But that fight around Rift Herald just saw things go so wrong for them. A 3-for-0 gave a big gold lead and the entirety of the first turret over to the side of Duo Q. That was a big gold infusion from them. And from that point on, they basically just never looked back. You know, the Mundo kept farming, kept scaling, outpaced the Olaf, and every time he showed up to a fight, you just couldn't kill him because, again, the Executioner stuff, the Grievous Wounds, they just didn't come in early enough to take down that champion. So they were pretty easy at the end of the day, front to back team fights for the likes of Duo Q, who do ride that all the way to a snowball in game number 2. They pick up the game, and they will force the deciding game 3 in this playoff series.
Yeah, but with that, we are going to take just a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We are going to be back with game 3 of UW-Madison versus Duo Q Gaming. Don't go anywhere. This is a match to watch, folks. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Style Esports Season 6 playoffs. We are in Bracket 6, Round 2. The 5th seed UW-Madison Shredded is currently tied to the 5th seed Duo Q Gaming 1-1. We are in Game 3 of this exciting matchup between these two teams. Will UW-Madison Shredded continue their underdog story throughout this bracket, or will Duo Q Gaming send them to the 3rd and 4th place match? My name is Shinkari. I'm joined once again by the DJ, and we're here to bring you Game 3 of what is bound to be an incredibly exciting series.
Yeah, it's already been super exciting. You know, you love to see the comeback from Duo Q after kind of getting run over in game number 1 by UW-Madison. They turn it right around. They win all the important team fights around the objectives, and basically through an unkillable Mundo on Exodus, take number 2 fairly convincingly. So definitely no hint as to either team being better than the other. It seems to be a very even series, and we are bound to have an exciting game 3 as the pick bans do come in. The Annie Anivia taken away from Fury Flames once again. They don't want to get blown up by the Annie from game number 1. He is also a major Anivia player, so not going to be able to get on that. And there's the Scion as well. We talked about this from Salted. For UW-Madison, it's the MF, as it has been all series. The Oriana now taken away from Historian, and Tristana banned away, as they do go right back to what worked in game number 1 and look to prioritize that Hecarim for Natan.
Yeah, it seems like this is a huge priority pick for UW-Madison here. They really don't want to play against the Hecarim. We saw that when they were on the red side, it was their last ban. They didn't want to leave it up for Exodus to pick up, and they first picked it when they were on the blue side in game 1. This is a heavily contested pick for them, a really important pickup for Natan, and it is very important for their team as well. But let's see how Duo Q Gaming responds.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how they respond. They're taking their time for sure. We're down to 6 seconds. We don't even have a hover yet. Okay, we're gonna go to Mundo. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say Dr. Mundo is still on the table. A very powerful pick for Exodus here, and Sivir is going to be the pickup as well.
Oh boy, are we just gonna get a I won this game run back here from both teams? Like, that's what it's looking like to me here, Shinkari. Is Duo Q just say, hey, I won with Mundo and Sivir, let's just draft Mundo and Sivir. UW-Madison doing the same with the Hecarim, but this Braum might throw a wrench in that, as we haven't seen him all series. It will be the support pick into the Sivir. No, instead they will go to the tried and true counter pick, Alistair. So I like this response. In game 2, we saw Duo Q ban away the Alistair, so the Sivir would be safer, which I do think was a smart decision. This time around, they prioritized the Sivir. That does allow the sort of easy engage counter pick to come through. Sivir with that spell shield cannot negate one part of Alistair's combo, so it doesn't really matter. She shouldn't really even use the spell shield, because if you immune the W, you just get queued. And if you try to time it, well, you can't, because you're already CC. So you just should hold on to that spell shield, save it for the Alistair E stun. But nevertheless, you're likely dead by the time you do anything about it. And oh boy, it's a Vayne. It's every AD carry's dream coming in here for Damian Bao into the end of phase 1. I love the response from Duo Q, but boy, oh boy, a lot being put on Damian Bao's shoulders here to carry this game. Again, you got a favorable support in the AD carry matchup, but Vayne always going to be a little tricky against hard CC, which you already see come out from Duo Q in the Camille, and they will have 2 more slots to try to make Damian Bao's life miserable at the end of this draft.
Yeah, I mean, the best tool that Vayne has is her slipperiness. She is kind of high mobility in these team fights. She gets a lot of movement speed and invisibility from her tumble when she pops her ultimate. And not to mention that there are going to be certain items that she's going to build that does give her that mobility to kite in these team fights, but it's going to be really hard to kite when you're targeted with a Hextech ultimatum, and Sivir has popped on the hunt for these characters as well, and that seems to be what these team fights are going to be doing, just running directly at Vayne with On the Hunt available. But Thresh is going to be banned away here. Mordekaiser and Jax being taken away from Salted Asian now in the second half of these drafts. And it's going to be really interesting to see how the rest of this team comp fills out. Vayne is definitely a good pick into Dr. Mundo here. Rel being banned away, but
Okay. Okay, so I like this from DuoQ. I want to see what they do with the rest of this draft. They still, I like this pick for the Seraphine and R4 because this is a flex pick. You can play the support, you can play this mid lane, and so there's no real way to answer from UW-Madison. Basically, they're going to get counter pick wherever they want. The Darius is going to come out into the Camille. It looks like that is. Oh boy. Okay. This is going to be a fun draft here. Oh boy. Okay.
Oh boy. Yeah, so I do really quickly want to mention that every single time I've seen a Darius, it has not gone well, and that is every single time I've casted a Darius game for style esports. It's just you're like, I'm going to pick a lane bully. It's like, all right, so Renekton or Gnar, right? No, I'm picking Darius. All right, man. Cool. Sure. I mean, all right. I mean, it technically does get the job done. It gets around Camille's physical adaptive shield there by doing true damage. But like later in the game, it's just, I don't know how much. I guess they're just trying to punish the short range, the run at you kind of team comp that DuoQ has drafted by picking the Darius here. But I feel like there are just so many better picks you could have done.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Darius obviously can be a lane bully, this and that, yada yada yada, but it could still be a very big problem. This is going to be a volatile top lane nonetheless. The reason I think the Darius is picked is because you saw the Camille pick, you saw the jungle matchup picked already, so you know what's coming for you on top side.
Mm-hmm.
You have an idea that you could maybe 1v2 this Mundo and Camille in the early game. That's certainly on the table. The problem I have more so with this Darius is you pick the Vayne in B3. When you pick a Vayne, your composition should likely be a decent amount about the Vayne. This composition is not really about the Vayne. You've got a Darius that wants to bully, that wants to split push, that wants to have his own, kind of doing his own thing. You got a Vigar that creates space, but also sort of wants to execute people and has burst. You got 3 carries basically that are all pretty greedy in terms of their play style here. And then on the other end, you got DuoQ just drafting a backside of this draft that I find to be very, very intelligent. Mundo, so the reason I think Vayne is picked here in the first place is Vayne is really good into Mundo. Super, super good into Mundo. I mean, you just cannot do anything to a Vayne as Mundo.
Right.
Like, you're going to hit her with a cleaver? Heck no, you're not. You're going to run her down? Absolutely not. And she's going to shred your butt by the time the fight is over because you're a Mundo and she does true damage to you. But Camille ruins Vayne's life. The other couple of champions that ruins Vayne's life are Nautilus or Leona. Leona has a little harder of a time doing it because her skill shots aren't super accurate against Vayne. But if you Hextech Ultimatum of Vayne, your skill shots are going to be accurate against the Vayne. You only have a limited amount of room to work with when you're the Vayne inside of the Ultimatum. So I like the Leona pick that comes in to pair with that Camille to shut down the AD carry. And so I asked myself the question here of how does Madison win the game without their Vayne? And the only real answer is if your Darius gets fed or if your Vigar somehow gets fed. Well, if your Vigar's fed, you're still going to get ulted by Camille, and your Darius is in a very volatile, very losable matchup in top lane. So, I don't love this draft from UW-Madison. It just seems like a lot of comfort, a lot of solo queue greed, not a lot of sort of team clarity. Particularly when your Hecarim wants to go in, your Vigar wants to stay back. Like, how does this team fighting even work from this side? Whereas DuoQ, once again, drafts a very intelligent composition with a Sivir that can speed up the team to help them get CC down, a clever R4 Seraphine pick after it slips through pick ban that flexes to mid to allow the CC to come through from Leona. I love this draft from DuoQ, and I am really looking at them to flex this into a strong performance to take over Game 3.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a lot of things that kind of fell into place for DuoQ here. They do have a lot of CC. I think my only real question is where's the damage? Where's the damage coming from here? We saw Sivir build into a Kraken Slayer in the previous game. Camille certainly does a decent chunk of damage with the Divine Sunderer, but I believe that's really only two sources of physical damage here. Seraphine not exactly picked for her damage. You know, she does a lot of utility things for her team and has a lot of CC. Leona's, the damage isn't there either. Maybe if Mundo is able to get miles ahead like he did previously, those cleavers are definitely going to hurt. But you need like some more reliable damage here, and it doesn't seem like they have a whole lot of mixed damage here, which does mean itemization against this team will be very easy.
Yeah, I think itemization could certainly be easy. The answer they could have is just, you know, play Seraphine. You know, if you're being honest here, you don't necessarily need to build Moonstone. It could be very useful, but it is a decision that DuoQ can make if they feel like they don't quite have the damage. So we'll have to see what they do. I agree with you that there isn't maybe a whole lot of damage in the early to mid game, with just a Sivir Camille sort of being your damage profile. But we'll have to see if they can play around it. I still very much favor them around objectives, and if they set up at all or prep like they did in last game, I think they will just sweep away the team fights behind the unstoppable force that Exodus seems to be on this Dr. Mundo, and behind, of course, Cole Taryn on this Sivir that he looked very comfortable in on game number 2. So again, I like what DuoQ have done here. I think there are, you know, some slight issues with the draft, but nowhere near as many as I think UW-Madison will have to navigate with their composition.
Yeah, for sure. But with that, we are going to take just a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to be on the Rift for UW-Madison Shredded versus DuoQ Gaming. Game 3, we're going to be on Summoner's Rift with this incredibly exciting final game to this deciding match. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. UW-Madison Shredded is on the blue side. Duo Q Gaming on the red. We are in Summoner's Rift for Game 3 of this exciting series in Bracket 6 semifinals. Will the UW-Madison Shredded squad be able to continue, excuse me, their underdog tear through this bracket, or will Duo Q Gaming put a stop to it and progress onto the finals? My name is Shinkari. We're here with the DJ, and we are once again waiting to see who will come out on top.
Yeah, we are waiting to see, but if you have been following this series fairly closely in chat and you've heard who I favor in this game, I think you already know who's going to win because, I look at Duo Q's comp and I love what they've brought out here. I think their draft is super clever. I think they've gotten themselves on comfort. I think they have a better team fighting comp. I think they're probably set up to win this game, which means that it's definitely going to be UW Shredded that wins this game. So we already know what the outcome is. You can probably stop either watching the stream or even paying attention because it's likely just going to be UW Shredded if my record has anything to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to UW-Madison coming out on top here. I mean, I really liked the fact that they were able to win 2-0 over the underdogs in round 1 and come out to this round 2 game, this round 2 bracket match here on top. So I'm really looking forward to see if the 8th seed can carry it all the way to the end here. So I'm cheering for UW-Madison Shredded. I'm really looking forward to seeing if they can pull out the underdog story here.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can. Again, I think they're set up pretty well here. My eyes in the early game are going to be largely on this top lane. Dama and Biel probably just going to want to farm on this Vayne, get to a steady state. Same with Coltarin. It's likely going to be between this very volatile matchup. The Darius taken into Camille here can likely go either way. Darius so scary in the early game with that bleed passive against melee champions. Might have the help of junglers as well, but whoever gets ahead in that lane is likely just going to be dominant for the rest of the game. Darius from behind doesn't do a whole lot when he wants to build bruiser items. Camille the same way when she wants to get in your face, ultimatum of champions. So it will be very interesting to see how this top lane does go, if there are solo kills, if there are jungle intervention. But that's where I am looking in this early game because, Sivir into Vayne, not a whole lot. Seraphine, infinite range, likely not going to interact a whole lot with this Veigar. I think top lane really the only place junglers can get involved.
Yeah, and I think in terms of places to watch for Scaly, even though we did kind of say that this top lane is probably going to be the most exciting, it's still going to be important to watch this mid and this bot lane. These are two hyper carries in these lanes here. They really want to get ahead. Veigar, just a little easier to scale. He does passively gain stats as he kills things with his ultimate, or with his abilities. It will be important to watch him as he scales here, and it will be important to watch this Vayne, who scales really well with items. If she's able to have a pretty safe laning phase, she should be able to pop off.
Yep, first attempt there from the likes of Duo Q, not going to pay off. You can see Exodus runs over a ward, so clever placement from Poodle. Will spot out the enemy jungle, will just force a back, but of course is just right at the end of the full clear. Meanwhile, on top side, you can see Natan kind of hovering around. Right now, Vufu's playing it safe, but will that be the case? Yeah, okay, he's spotted on a ward.
Yeah, Natan trying to get Darius ahead. Once again, all these other characters can kind of like scale and take a little time to themselves and kind of scale up. The Veigar, right, can just be hitting minion waves with his Q or whatever abilities he needs to in order to scale up. Vayne can sometimes sit in a lane that's behind and be able to scale upwards. Darius 100% needs to get ahead if he wants to be useful into this game. Roam around the map, bully the other lanes if he can, split push later in the game, but he definitely needs that attention from Hecarim. He definitely needs a little bit of babying in this early lanes, in this early time here if he wants to get ahead. Especially since Exodus is coming in for the lane here. Saltadation is already very, very low. The cleaver is not going to land. That's going to be the flash forward. That's going to be the chop from Exodus. That's going to be first blood going over to Dr. Mundo.
Yeah, we talked about the top lane. We said it would be volatile. We said there would probably be jungle intervention. And there it is. Coming through from Exodus. Walks into lane. He does miss the cleaver, but the flash follow-up on the E will take down Salted. And great start coming in here from the likes of DuoQ. Exodus gets the early move, makes it count, gets first blood for himself, and will go right back to farming his jungle. He's not even that far behind, just one CS, basically a part of a camp, so we'll be feeling great about his first move of the game.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also important to note that this Darius has not brought teleport. Pretty typical of Darius's to bring multiple offensive summoner spells here. He has Ghost and he does have Flash, which means that later in the game he does need to be unlocked in order to be able to contribute to objective fights. And we've seen UW-Madison just play around these dragons incredibly hard. And I don't know if they'll be able to get the first Drake here like they have been the past couple of games, but they are definitely going to be looking at those neutral objectives to contest over and over again.
Yeah, they certainly will be. And it, just having that TP, again, it makes the lane a little bit tougher, but it makes setting up for objectives and playing around pressure so much easier for the Camille. You can just be in a side lane, creating a point of pressure, teleport back into the fight. You can teleport in preemptively. You can find flanks. It's just a very, very flexible route. So particularly with how the lane's already gone, despite the CS differential, you got the early first kill. I really like the setup here for Vufu and should be feeling very, very happy with the way the game is already going. As these champions near level 6, you can see Salted has already ticked that level 6 mark. Vufu will likely tick it very, very soon. And there it is, does come in now for the Camille. So we'll be set up for this first trade. You can see members getting vision around there. But again, with that teleport advantage in the top side, it's always going to be a little tricky for the likes of UW-Madison to set up, to make the initial move on this objective. It's likely they'll have to be the reactionary party.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is whoever gets to this team fight first, and we've seen DuoQ Gaming here just being very comfortable with just letting UW-Madison just tank up these fights and tank up these neutral objectives and just coming in at the last second. So we'll have to see how this starts up as Hecarim is already at this dragon here.
Yeah, Hecarim already at the dragon, and this is pretty impressive from the likes of UW-Madison. The bot lane did reset and the timer just a little bit better. It looks like for Damian Bao and Poodle, they use that timer advantage to take this first Drake, despite, again, not having TP advantage, despite Darius being down a summoner spell. So very nice stuff from UW, and they will get the first objective in the map.
Yeah, but with that, it's going to be Dr. Mundo immediately responding by going to that Rift Herald. DuoQ